All right, what's up, guys? We are going to jump into the Garmin and shading and why I think it's important on the mapping part. I'm always doing a lot of shading, and mapping is probably a bigger deal to me than anything other than like live scope. If you're gonna like rank them, for a while before live scope, I would say mapping was number one by far, hands down. Mapping was the number one thing I used to catch fish or used on my electronics. And so I'm going to go into shade, and shading is a big part of that. It doesn't really matter what lake I go to either. Like I was just at Lake of the Ozarks for the Toyota, and I'm doing a whole big giant series on my private channel. And we just got through maybe last week, and I was like a 45-minute long video over the mapping, how I used the map to determine what creeks I was going to fish and how I looked at it, all kinds of things. It was a long, and that's only like one episode. It was like an entire episode just on the mapping and shading and stuff like that for that entire series that I'm doing. I don't even know. I think we're 2 days in. I think we're about to start day 3. And so anyways, that was on my private channel. Here we are going to show you all a little bit about, real quick, how I shade, what we do, and what I'm looking for. All right, let's look. All right, so we're just going to go to fishing chart, okay? And that's Knack. That's where I was at yesterday. Let's just go to like Rayburn and look at Rayburn. Now, my mapping looks a little bit different right now because this purple, I put in this purple because I was at Ray Roberts. And then let's go to Ray Roberts. I want to show y'all something because this is why I have it the way I do as of right now. I think this is Ray Roberts right here. All right, so when I was at Ray Roberts, I didn't have this purple in there. And here's why. It was kind of this area right here. Okay? So I'd been there a couple days, and I have my red for really shallow stuff. Right, I want to know what shallow places like this that I definitely want to run around. I just put that as 5 foot or less. So a lot of places like, let's see, I know this place right here. Sometimes you can run through here, but if the lake's kind of low or a little bit, I don't want to run through there. So here's another place right here. This point sticks way on out there. Like I said, that's the land. It says not to run all the way out here. I suggest not running all the way out here. And I even think like right here, there's, it might be right there. I can't remember. There's something out there. There's a big concrete block out there. So I suggest not running through there. So I keep it like that. But this is the part I want to show y'all. This is why it's important. I wish I could do this. There's only one thing I can't really do because I'm not on the water. But if I was on the lake, I believe it's on the fishing chart menu. I believe it's under layers, and I believe it's under water. There's a place where it'll say, okay, we're on Ray Roberts, and it'll show like you can put in if it's high or low, the water level. So you can check the water level. If it's a foot high or 5 foot high, you can put in there +5. And then it will reconfigure the lake at being 5 foot high. I was looking for it right now, and I totally forgot that you cannot do that unless you're actually on the lake. Okay, so right now we're scrolling, right? We're panning over, and it knows we're panning over. So right now it wants to put us on Lake Nacogdoches because I was on Lake Nacogdoches. Let's see if it does that. Yeah, it won't even do it because, like I said, see that question mark on my boat? It still knows, it doesn't know where it's at. Okay, so, but I was on Lake Nac yesterday, and I got to be honest with you guys, I smashed on them. All right, now go back up here to Ray Roberts and go to that same flat. Okay, now I had been on Ray Roberts for a long time. I was trying to figure out how to catch them. I was catching some deep, some shallow, and at a point in time, and I'll show y'all. Let's see, layers. Like I said, we'll go to water, depth shading. Okay. Now, depth shading just does that, where it'll give you the most basic stuff. So just putting it in there changes it all. Shallow shading does a little bit, but I have both those turned on, and I keep the fishing contours on. Okay. So, okay, if I just push depth shading, it takes it off, but I got to go to these arrows right here. Okay. So at 0 to 5, I have red. 5 to 10, I had orange. 10 to 15, yellow. 15 to 20, green. 25 to 40, I don't believe I even had that on. Okay, so I didn't even have that on. So when I was on this right here, and I'm used to this because what it was showing me were just flats. All I was trying to do is find the flats on the lake, right? These big giant flats, and how far they stuck out. Now, I could tell on all the other flats, they had like this one. Yellow, green, and blue. And so I could see the points, right? So I could see this, I could see that this point right here, I'll just use that, was a point. This green to blue is a point, right? I can see this is a point coming out here. This is a point, right? And I could see that, and I was like, yeah, that's perfect. That's all I need. And I was really focusing on any flat that had shallow water to green to blue. And I could kind of see all that. There was one, I'd been there a couple days, right? And there was this one flat out here, and I'm like, man, that's kind of a deep flat. If you notice, it is deep. See how there's no orange or yellow or green or any of that? There's green right there, but you can tell the green doesn't pop out. If you go way up here, it starts to all become blue and everything, but you can see everything. Like that blue's not that big of a deal. If you look on the entire lake, other than like right over here, that's the only two places on the entire lake that it's a flat, but it doesn't show a lot of shallowness to it. And I'm like, man, so I came over here. I go to layers, right? I go to water, depth shading. And I'm like, man, I'm just going to turn that on real quick. And I kept it at, now I can put it at anything I want to, but I'm just going to show you where I have it right now. I'm going to turn on. And when I did, it instantly showed me that now it kept that blue and it showed where it was the shallowest, right? Now it might not be that big of a deal, but it was to me. And the reason is I could see little high spots, and I could see how the high spot runs, right? And there's a road bed right here, and it kind of made a point. And I was going, okay, this area is big. Like if I had to idle all that, it's going to take me an hour to idle. I mean, that's all long. This is almost halfway across the lake. And look how wide it is. So it's as long as it is wide, and I would have to start here. I mean, it would take me an hour to idle all that. And it just, if you noticed, what I broke down more on it was like, well, I'll follow this road bed because it goes over a couple high spots. Road bed goes over a high spot here and a high spot here and makes a point. And I was able to look at it just a little bit differently. And even when I come over here, it just kind of broke up a little bit more of the blue. Now I was really focusing a lot of times on the green. See, my waypoints are a lot on the green. Let's go over here, see if I have any more. Green, green, green. Close to the green. You know, like I was really focusing on, there's some more. Close to the green spots. That wasn't, that's just how it was. And so I really wasn't focusing on this like outer blue stuff. And what a lot of times what will happen is I wasn't looking in the green. I just started marking stuff, and they just so happen to be around the green. And that's what will happen is if they were deeper, I would have looked up and seen more of it around the blue. And if they were really deep, I might have seen some more of it around the purple. And so what it did is it gave me an idea, and it gives you an idea, and it just breaks it down a little bit easier for you. Now, I haven't tried this, but let's just look at something. Let's go back to it. Okay. So I can go back here and it goes 25 to 40, right? Let's just go 25 to 30. Sorry. So minimum depth is 20, maximum depth, and we can scroll over here and go 30 and let's see what it does. Okay. So by doing that, it gives me a different look, but I don't like this look, right? It shows high and then drops and then has this like weird blue, like it doesn't look any better for me. But that's what you can do. You can kind of mess with it, and all it's doing is, for whatever reason, it just gives you a little bit more. Let's bump it up to 35. Nope. So not too bad there either, right? It kind of the same thing. I'm putting it back to 40 just because. Now, I guess I could have done this too. I could have gone, let's see, I could have gone, because that stopped it at 20. Everything else is the same. Probably what I should have done is kept this at 20. And keep this at 45 or 40. Come on, work. There you go. And see, even that, I actually don't like that. I actually liked it the way I had it, because now it didn't show any of that blue, right? So you kind of have to mess with it a little bit, right? Just kind of mess with it. And it's amazing just by changing this to 25, and it just changes the entire outlook of everything. Right now, it puts that little bit of blue in there. It gives you a little bit more of a highlighted area of what to look for. So now it might change all of Lake Nack to purple, right? Which is fine. And it's going to show contours are great, right? And there's not a lot of contours on Lake Nacogdoches where I was fishing, okay? But why it's good is, besides the defined contours, what you want to look at, and what I look at sometimes, are like the creeks. Most creeks aren't going to be defined very well, okay? So I'm not looking for these perfect lines in a creek. A lot of times what I'm looking for is, how flat is the creek, right? So like this creek, it's not very flat. Not a lot of red in the back of it, correct? While this one has a lot more of it, and then the north end has a lot more of it. And so what I'm looking for in creeks sometimes are really just how flat they are. See, that one's not that flat. It's got a lot of deep water going into that one. A little bit deeper water into that one. That one has more of the flat. This one obviously it's going to be like that on the north end. But that's kind of what I'm looking for. So when I get into, and I'll show you all real quick what I was looking at. I'll give you a little preview. If you want to go check out my private channel, you can. But look for Lake of the Ozarks. I know it's up here somewhere. It's got to be probably this one. No, that's Table Rock. Is it this one right there? Okay. Lake of the Ozarks, when I had it set like this, just from even a far distance, of course, granted this is the glaze, you can see how flat it is way back in there. And just real quick, you can look at certain creeks, right? You can see the backs of them, how flat they are, how much those colors come out. Because others, see how the color doesn't come out as much? This one's flatter and longer. Those aren't that flat. These start to become flatter. See how there's more red in them? More red in that one, right? And then you can look at boat docks in them and things like that. So some of them have, like this one, not very flat in the back. This one is flat in the back. So little things like that, like these, you can either look at the red or the orange and tell how flat those colors. See how the reds, oranges, and yellows even come out, a lot of them. And then other ones, you don't have that. See, like these, you don't have it very much. This one has a lot more red right there than here. See how there's like 1 or 2 boat docks? Where here there's 1, 2, 3, 6 of them. So things like that. Those are the things that I'm looking for in when I do my map shading. And I can set that a lot of different ways. And even to me, I don't really know exactly how the best it's going to look. Like, you kind of have to mess with it. Even when I put that to 25 to 40, it looked horrible to me, right? Or 20 to 40. And then when I moved it from 25 to 40, it instantly put some blue in there and shaded it. And then your eyes, you can't help it. You pick up on those color changes. So get in there, just mess around. That's all I suggest. You don't have to be on the water. Just scroll over there and mess with those shadings. If you don't live on a very deep lake, make that all different. Okay? So I live on a lake that 40 foot's not a big deal. But if I lived on nothing but Lake Nacogdoches and it turned that whole lake purple like it did, I might change those intervals from every 5 to 15, 5 to 10 foot. Because if you go back and look real quick, let it catch back up. But if I wanted to, on the depth, I could make this 0 to 3 foot. Okay, and then I could go 3 to 8, right? 8 to 12. I go 12 to 15, 20 to 25. And then it's really going to highlight the shallower lake even better. I don't want to do it because then I'm going to have to redo all of them. But like I said, if I lived on this lake and I didn't care about this, because this purple really on this lake is irrelevant. Okay? All that purple, that 25 to 40 is irrelevant. I would just make it a little bit more contours, and then you're just going to see everything so much better and so clear. And it's crazy how that works out. But that's what you do if you're trying to shade and how to get your map to look like that. I want my map as colorful as possible. I want as many colors on there, and I want it to show points and ditches and things just more clear, and your eyes just naturally pick up to those color changes rather, right, than if you just had this. I might let it catch back up. All right. And if you just put depth shading off, right? Now when you look at that, it doesn't look very good. I mean, you're really going to have to concentrate. Like I said, just having it on there instantly changes everything. So I hope this helps, but that is how you get color and shading and how you look at the map and how it'll make it a lot easier. All right, hope this helps, guys. See y'all.